all right, here we are. Welcome to episode 2 of the Josh OT podcast. I hope we're all having an amazing time. There's a little bit of turmoil going on in the world, but it's been like that for a couple months, let's be honest. Let's just hope that if you listen to this, I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope you're getting what you want. I hope you're drinking some nice, delicious orange juice, some whatever you like. I hope you're drinking it. I hope you're having a good time. Now, we have some stuff to talk about today. I've used today the hours of today to plan out this episode, try to get a more structured episode than what I had before with last episode. But we'll see. I'm probably still gonna end up jumping around, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, bro. And let's get started. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about the New York Jets. The New York Jets, based in New Jersey, finally being able to open up their facility. This happened on Wednesday. The New York Jets opened up their facility. Finally, they get some people out there so we can start looking at a beautiful season. Hopefully, we don't know. Like I said in the last podcast, we got Adam Gase at the helm of this whole thing. We don't know how this is all gonna go, but they're finally out there. They're finally able to get done some things on the field that we need to get done. Not everybody is allowed to be on there though. Just some personnel people. I'm guessing some faculty people. They're just there to clean it up, make sure everything's all good and fine and dandy. And actually, even though the New York Jets are authorized to, according to the New York Jets, they are not going to have an in-person minicamp. And they said this in the statement. Even though they are allowed to, they're going to refrain from having that minicamp. Which, I mean, I guess it's no. I obviously have no say in the matter. None of us have any say in the matter, and they're probably doing it for a myriad of reasons. Everything got slowed down. It's not really a surprise, but that's the way that we're rolling this year, and that's the way I maybe that's everybody else is doing that too. Not everybody can have the surprise. The workout that Tom Brady had with his fellow fools over there on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had a good time in the little secret workout that they had. Not everybody can do that. It looks like the Jets aren't going to be able to do that. I'm hoping that Sam Darnold can get some of these receivers together, especially Denzel Mims. They need to start working on that right away. Like he did last year, he had the receivers. He brought them all together before the season started. Obviously, times have changed, and we don't know if they're going to be able to do that. But I do hope that, of course, with all safety in mind, I don't want any of these players to be in any kind of danger with the coronavirus, with anything like that. But I do hope that with taking all the proper precautions, Sam Darnold is able to grab some of these receivers, maybe the running backs or something. Maybe he even has he even just chit chats and chills with our boy Mekhi Becton for a little bit. I know there's not much that they can actually run because he's an offensive tackle, but I hope that they'd get a little bit of face-to-face time. That's what we all hope. But of course, I want it to be safe, and I don't want anybody, especially with Sammy Boy here. He's catching diseases left and right, kissing them dirty girls, getting the mono last year, having to be out for a few games. So I'm hoping that I obviously hope that they get together, but let's hope that they keep everything nice and safe. Now, moving on from that little bit of Jets news, not much coming out of the camp, besides the fact that we're getting our Tremaine Johnson money back, which I think is around $11 million. I'm hoping that we can get something done with that. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. We don't really know how Joe Douglas moves, and we don't know how anybody moves right now. It looks like they're keeping a lot of signings. They're kind of pushing it off a little later because they don't really know. Some of these people aren't able to get their physicals right now. Some of these people, the in-person meetings just way harder. I definitely think that if we weren't going through the times that we were going through right now, we would be able. Joe Douglas would be able to get some more people in that front office. We'd be able to do a little more. But that's just where we are. That's the way the cookie crumbles this year. The coronavirus is here to stay. And speaking of the coronavirus, today I got a little segment lined up because I was thinking as I was sitting down and jotting down what I wanted to talk about for this episode. I was thinking back to when we first got Adam Gase and how we were thinking, wow, It is going to be quite the learning curve for this new head coach that none of these people know about. Sam Darnold is only going in his second year, and it's going to be real hard for some of these teams going into the new league year, not the new league year, the new year, without having the proper mini camps and all this. And I'm talking especially the people who had to hire new head coaches this year. Now, for my research, it looks like we have 5 teams. Let me see. Let me double check to make sure. We got the Washington Redskins, Carolina Panthers, Dallas Cowboys, and the New York Giants, and the Browns. All those teams are walking in with some new head coaches this year. And I was able to look at these teams, and I thought, hey, let me think about who they're fighting. Because when I think about these teams, they're going to have a significant disadvantage coming into this year compared to those coming into the year they're coming in with a head coaching staff that they know that they at least had for even at least 1 year. It made me think a little bit about the Jets and how I was definitely calling for homeboys firing yet last year. Adam Gase, I did not want him to stick around. I was one of them Jets fans that was hoping for him to get out of here. And with the unprecedented circumstances of the coronavirus, it's looking like, all things considered, the best course of action. We're taking it right now and having kept Adam Gase, because if we were in the same boat as these other teams, boy, would I be worried. But I mean, hold on. Let me step back a little bit, because I'm still worried. I will still be worried with this guy at the helm. I went over that in the last episode. I can talk about that for days, but I'm still worried with this guy at the helm. But imagine going into our 3rd year with Sam Darnold, with Sammy D, the destroyer of worlds. Going into our 3rd year, imagine if we didn't have the 2nd year head coach to come in, and we also gave him yet another clean slate to come in with. We're learning a new offense, this, and that. We'd have to go through another few games here. Like, look, when I was thinking about what the kind of challenges that these teams are going to have to face, I was thinking about how Sam Darnold, midway through the season pretty much, he comes out and he talks about how he sat this man down. He put Adam Gase's ass in the chair, sat across from him in that desk, and he said, look, bro, we got something to talk about here. We are not running this offense in any way that I like at all. And Adam Gase came out and he said it was great. It was a great learning experience. He said that, I don't know too much about this because I ain't no head coach. So I don't know, but he said that this is something you want to happen. I'm sitting here thinking, why would I want that to happen? I want it to work smoothly to begin with. I want to know my quarterback strengths, this, and that. But obviously, they didn't have, a year or whatever to get a year or two to get to figure each other out. But he said that it's a great thing that he came up to him and he said, listen, this is what I don't like. This is what we're going to start doing more of. This is what we're going to stop doing. And we're going to continue with the plan like this, because I did not like what we were doing right there. And this is one of the many challenges that people, or the teams with new head coaches, are going to have to face. And I've given this a lot of thought here. I've written down some of these new offensive coordinators, some of the new defensive coordinators. Some of these people have started from the ground up in these 5 teams here. I don't have too much on the Browns, admittedly, because I actually wanted to focus on this article that I found. I found an article about the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I haven't spoken about this yet, but I have a ton of faith in Kyler Murray, the 2nd-year quarterback coming into this year. It's going to be the 2nd year for him. Kyler Murray, wow, what a prospect coming out of the draft last year. An amazing prospect. I don't even know why. Listen, my boy Aramis, he loves his Redskins. And the Redskins picked up Dwayne Haskins. I like Dwayne Haskins because he's just a quarterback that can do the job. He doesn't jump off the page with a lot of the stuff that he can do. But if you watch the film, he takes the right choice a lot of the times. Now, he had a little bit of sloppy times when he's first year in the league, but that's to be expected. When you first come into the league, it's all right. So here's the best way to describe it. In college, all right. when players go to college, the way that they see it is it's different. It's way different because all their life coming up through middle school, high school, maybe they're playing even in elementary school. The way that they had it was they were so naturally gifted that they just beat out all of the competition, and they were the best in the areas they came from. They were the best. They were the one that everybody talked about. They go to college, everybody's the best from where they came from. That's the main difference over there when you start going to college. Is everybody is the best where they came from. It's harder. It's granted, you still have those super outliers, and those are the ones that becomes the top 10 picks, where they still can outbeat these people over here. They can outrun them. They can just run them over. Saquon Barkley, for instance. Saquads, man. Saquads came in the college, and he was somebody that was proclaimed as everybody's throwing on the damn Hall of Fame jacket before he even got picked in the draft. It was because Saquads is naturally gifted enough where even in the college leagues he was just blowing them out of the water. And that's one of those ones that's where you go to college and you go, this guy, he's not only he's gonna bomb it here in the collegiate league, he's gonna go to the NFL and he's also gonna find great immense success. He floundered. He didn't flounder. He bounced back a little bit this year, but maybe there was a little something more going on with that injury. If those of you don't know, he had a little injury, I believe, and he missed a game or two, if I'm correct on that, and maybe that had more effect on him than the coaches, than he wanted to lead on, the Giants organization. Maybe that did, because he went a little backwards that season. But I still got faith in Saquads. I definitely do. I'm not ready to say, like a lot of these people, to say that, put the Hall of Fame jacket on right now. Because obviously he did have a downturn year. And we have to acknowledge that. We have to see that happened and obviously say, listen, we need to take that into account right now. And that he still needs to prove to us that he can stay consistent, he can stay healthy, and he could run his way over to that Hall of Fame jacket. And listen, man, at his peak, not his peak, at his best, we all know that he can. That's why everybody was calling for it, because we all know that he can. But we cannot deny the fact that there's busts in the league for a reason. And I'm not saying that Saquon's a bust, but I'm just speaking on the example of a bust. A bust in the league is somebody with great expectations. The organization picked him up real high. He was top shelf material. The organization said, "Let me get a snap at this guy because I think he's gonna really take us. Whether it's the running back like Saquon or it's the quarterback, he's really gonna take that position on our team to the next level." Now, I'm not saying Saquon's a bust at all, because I don't believe he's a bust. I think Saquon needs to lose his damn legs for him to be a damn bust. And even if Saquon's out there on stubs, homie's still getting it done. And jokes here. Obviously, he's not getting it done, but that's the kind of faith I got in Saquon Barkley. He's a great, terrific football player. But you still need to you need to be the best of the best to get that Hall of Fame jacket. And Saquon just needs to prove that. Above everything, Saquon Barkley still needs to prove that. And we, as football fans, those in the NFL, we all need to acknowledge it. And I think that we are. I don't think anybody's really, really throwing on that jacket right now, especially after last season. And I think that's a good turn. And I think maybe it was great for Saquon. And he's going to look at that season and he's going to say, hey, and I think he is. Saquon has a great mentality. And that's part of why a lot of people were also bestowing that jacket on him. The reasons keep piling. Because this guy is great at what he does. And he's great at football. And he seems like a great human being. At least in what he portrays. You never know what somebody's like deep down. I don't expect, obviously, that he is a shitty person. But he's got all the intangibles here. And I do think he's going to roll out and he's going to prove us that he's still a top running back in this league. Because he really blasted on the scene in the first year. Second year, not so much, but... Well, listen, man, he's got a lot to prove, and he has everything to prove it. And maybe this year he's going to look back at it and say, hey, man, he's got that right mindset. He's going to say, look, I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy at all. Just like my last podcast, I'm not comparing myself to Saquon Barkley now. I ain't no Saquads, bro. I don't got, he's got a killer mindset. I'm only developing what kind of mindset I got. But, I look back at the last podcast episode, and audio was trash, man. Audio was trash. And I made a little tweak now. First off, I bought a mic. There's a mic coming in. We don't know. It's going to take a while before it comes in, maybe a week or two. But I ended up going to my brother's room and going to one of his headsets and taking off the little nub end over there that's got the foam. It's the foam little nub end. And I slapped it on there to try and get rid of some of that plosive sounds because I didn't like the performance of the last time I showed up. And that's the kind of mindset that Saquon Barkley's going to be running running into this league year with. He's going to say, "Hey man, did you see that? Did you see me not perform to my tippity top spot? Listen, man, I'm gonna do what it takes. I'm gonna get these Saquads ready. I saw him pumping the iron the other day. He was benching, bro. I saw homie benching, and he's gonna get it all together. And I really do believe that. I really do think that the Giants, even though they're on this list, I just realized that I was talking that whole thing. I didn't even make the connections. The Giants are on the list here of teams that are walking into the league with a new head coach, man. It don't matter for Saquads. Running back is one of those positions that is gonna it's solidified if you got a good running back. Obviously you need a good offensive line, but if you got a game-breaking running back like Saquon Barkley, man, he's still gonna show out. Regardless if you got an incompetent defense, if you got an incompetent whatever, head coach, this and that. The running back should be able to show out. Unless if you got bottom tier offensive line though, oof. We all saw it last year with our boy Le'Veon Bell. Beautiful man. He's got his raps going on. He's doing what he can to show us what he got. And Le'Veon Bell showed out in a lot of those games. Now, I saw some footage of Le'Veon Bell really quitting. He really quit on some of these routes here for Sam Darnold. And listen, I'd have to maybe I'll start getting active on Twitter or something, and I'll find this video and I'll post it. But I was very disappointed in it. But at the same time, I was like, come on, man. This guy put the New York Jets on his back for some of these games. You remember the crybaby game? I'm not calling him a crybaby. There was a little quick of a name calling to be calling him. It just hopped out right out of the mouth. I got all respect for Le'Veon Bell, but he was crying when he fumbled, I believe. He fumbled the ball in one of the games early. I think Sam was already out. And homie Bell put the team on his back. And he was doing it all. If you're watching those early games, Le'Veon Bell was really doing it all. He was giving it his all. He was working behind. He had turnstiles for an offensive line. And he was putting it all on his back, this guy. And I was very proud of him. I think he'll show out again this year. Obviously, show out. He didn't really show out this year, but I think that the offensive line, it was really bad, like really bad. It was borderline incompetent. This offensive line. You know what? It was incompetent. I'm gonna go out there and say it. It was an incompetent offensive line that we trotted out there with last year. Thank you, great St. Joe Douglas, for trying to piece it together. But last year there was no excuses, man. That offensive line was oh man, basura, Basuda. That was some bad offensive line play that we had last year, and Le'Veon Bell was a victim of it, along with Sam Darnold, who was getting pressure on almost all of his damn snaps. If you were watching it last year, I could probably pull up some numbers that tell you the pressure that he was getting on almost all of the snaps that he was getting, man. Sam Darnold was getting pressure. He was running for his life all season, and that showed in the numbers. It really did. Even though I've seen these numbers too. Sam Darnold under pressure has the best rating, I believe. And to be honest, that's what he has to live with. So he's going to make it work or he's not, But he has the best rating, I believe. In this is like Pro Football Focus, I think, numbers or something like that. I could be wrong. I'm not really going to look him up because I don't really need him to be exact here. But I know it was at least one of the best, one of the top quarterbacks under pressure, making the completions. And if you watch the film, you can see it, man. Some of these throws that he's making, his legs aren't even under him, and he's still making pinpoint throws. And listen, he kind of overcame it, but as a Jet fan, I'm happy to see, so happy to see the upgrades that we've made. And with that said, I'd like to move on to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray came into the draft the year after Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, all them big cats that came out the year before. And he came out. Kyler Murray came into a draft class that had, I think the top prospects were Kyler Murray, and then second I think was Dwayne Haskins. And you had some people arguing that Dwayne Haskins should have been above Kyler Murray. Dwayne Haskins does not have the intangibles that Kyler Murray has, and I think that's anybody that looks at the film can see that. Kyler Murray just throws dots. He throws dots every night and day. I have recently gotten into sports cards, buying and selling. I like sports cards. I got into them. I did some pack openings of some sports cards that my dad had laying around. Really, really fun. I would recommend it if you're interested in sports. Listen, man, sports cards is really cool, and you can make some money off of it. And one of the cards that I've been looking to get, I'm obviously in some financial straits here. I'm currently unemployed, like many people in this country. But I do want to get my hands on a Kyler Murray card because I have a lot of expectations for him this year. Kyler Murray, I thought no doubt should have been above Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins, like I said, his intangibles don't really jump off the board, but he has the makings of being a very, you can franchise him. I think I'm not saying franchise him. I'm not saying that right now because he still has like Kyler Murray. They still have a lot to prove, but my expectations for these two individuals, Kyler Murray's ceiling is way higher, and I don't think any of us can deny that. Dwayne Haskins, though, that's a franchise quarterback. I expect him to be a franchise quarterback. He just needs to get more consistent, and I think you could say that about every rookie quarterback coming into the league. You know, they're facing something new in the collegiate years. It's everybody is the best player from where they came from. In the NFL, everybody's the best player on the earth. Pretty much. Not the best, but among the best on earth. These are the people coming to play in the NFL. And this is the big difference is in college, you can still be so fast, to have these intangibles. You can just run over some of these defenders like nothing. You can still do that. You can still beat these offensive linemen that don't put that kind of work that they have to put in to be able to be a real NFL ready offensive lineman. And let's say you can be I'm not saying Chase Young. I'm not saying, matter of fact, let me bring in Zuniga. I believe that's how you say his name. He's the recent defensive end that the New York Jets picked up. I believe in maybe the 5th round or the 4th round. I'm not certain about it, but he was like a mid-round pick. And I watched his film, right? I watched the guy's film, and I'm not no scout, all right? But I do from time to time. I get to watch his film. I get to learn about some players now. When I start to think about why he dropped so far, and it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder what the difference between a Chase Young and it's a Zabari Zuniga, I think is his full name. Zabari Zuniga and Chase Young, the difference between them has got to be that Chase Young jumps off the page. And when you watch the film, I was watching some games, some Ohio State games. I watched I actually don't know what game I watched, but I definitely watched one of the Ohio State games with Chase Young in it, obviously, and jumped off the field. I mean, jumped off the page. You notice him. And he can turn some of the best into turnstiles. And it made me think about that kind of prospect versus Zabari Zuniga, who by all accounts has potential, but you need work on him. And that's where the real discrepancies come in when you start talking about college players versus the NFL. In the NFL, it is your job to be great. Not only is it your job, you're not getting paid no scraps, bro. You're getting paid millions. You're getting paid multi-million dollars. There's a lot of money invested in you. You are expected to put the work in, And if you don't belong there. And those are the people that go over. They stay in. They stay in the bottom of The depth chart, even then, you won't even make it. You won't even make it if you don't really put the work in. There's some people that don't have the intangibles when it comes to their strength really, but they go to work and they're able to be competent on the field, and those are the ones that stay at the bottom of the depth chart, and that tells you. So one of the biggest differences between the college and the NFL is you at least need to be able to put some work in, man. You need to be able to do it. You can't just show up and show out, because it doesn't work like that in the NFL. Everybody is faster. Everybody's the best in the world. Everybody is. These are the top athletes in the whole United States, and some athletes across the country who want to get their shot at the NFL. The top athletes come here to play. And if you don't put in the work, you're going to get kicked out like it's nobody's business, man. You're not going to make any money in this league. And that's just the truth. And when you watch somebody like Zabari Zuniga versus a Chase Young, you think that, hey, maybe Zabari needs more experience. Maybe he needs somebody to really set him on the path, to teach him how to really learn the moves you need to make, learn the offense, the offensive players that you're going against. And maybe he has the potential, like most of these players have the potential to turn people into turnstiles. These are giant human beings. They do not take their talent and really utilize it. That's what us as Jets fans need, somebody like a Zabari Zuniga to really get to work with. They need him to really have somebody show him the way on how to utilize his talents. And we also need him to reciprocate the work that whatever that coach is on the Jets that is working with him, the defensive coach that's working with him, to utilize his talents. He needs to reciprocate the work, and they need to work together and be a back and forth, and they both need to be great and working at their job to make each other better. And hopefully Zabari can do that. And it's one of those things that really highlights the differences between the NFL and the college. Is you can't just you can't even be going to Five Guys and eating, man. And then you turn into feast mode over there. What's his name? He was on the Green Bay Packers. He was nicknamed Feast Mode. He actually ended up had some tragedy in his life. I watched Flemlo Rap's video on. Let me just look up Feast Mode and I can get his name. Give me a second. Feast Mode. I watched the Flemlo Rap's video on him. Let me see. Oh, come on. NFL. Feast Mode NFL. I watched Eddie Lacy. That's the man I'm trying to talk about. I watched the Flemlo Rap's video on him. Apparently, homie went through some tragedy. Mental health is a huge thing. It's ginormous. And homie went through some tragedy. And on top of that, I believe, I could be completely thinking about somebody else, man, but I'm pretty sure Eddie Lacy here went through some tragedy in his life, and he ended up finding a lot of comfort in soul food, actually. Which, man, do what you want to do. If you're happy doing that, do that. Eddie Lacy, feast mode, he had his time in the league. If he really wants to, I'm sure he can make a comeback. We saw Beast Mode make a comeback. Now, two different players. Beast Mode is on another level. He was on another level when he was playing, and we all know that. We all know that he was a train running through there, man, and you couldn't stop him. Now Feast Mode, Eddie Lacy, he had some similar traits too. He wasn't the same guy, and if he put the pedal to the metal, maybe he could get back in. But of course, you'd have some people being a little reluctant based on his previous history with his weight. But it just goes to show you, if you have talents, you can really run it through in the college and still make it. In the NFL, you need to utilize it, or you're not going nowhere. And somebody who has great talent in this league, and who I believe will continue to work on it with his head coach Kliff Kingsbury, is Kyler Murray with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, an interesting fact that I found while I was researching this episode, the Arizona Cardinals, this year, 2020 season, their schedule is looking like they're going to face 4 teams with new head coaches in 2020. I got this on an Arizona Sports 98.7 FM blog post here by Logan Newman. He has a good little post about what's going on, and it looks like they had a podcast where they had a little segment about it. But I didn't listen to that. I just gathered some information here, and I'd like to run through these teams, these 4 teams that they're facing, where they're going to have, if you ask me, a way easier ride than a lot of these other teams that they're going to be facing because of the coronavirus, because these teams cannot gather in a single location and really start to put the pedal to the metal and start mixing here and learning what everybody wants from each other, what the coaches want from the players, what the coaches need from the players. Just like in the example I brought up with Sam Darnold, where he walks up to him because of the experience they were able to get together. Sam Darnold walks up to Adam Gase and says, look, this doesn't work. We need to change this, or we're not going to have any success in this league. And there's going to be a learning curve with all 4 of these teams that the Arizona Cardinals are going to face. And I truly believe that Kliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray can do what it takes, because I have a lot of faith. If you look, Kyler Murray jumps off the paper, man. If you watch that film, man, he jumps off the paper. He throws dots every which way. Every which way you're seeing, he's throwing the ball there, and he could throw it all over the field. This little baby-faced man, he could get it there. Trust me, he can get it there. And not only that, but he got the legs to run him there if he really needs to. And that's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do. Let me bring up some of these 4 teams. Let me show you what I think about these teams, what they can really bring to the table. Now, first team on my list, shout out to Aramis. Aramis, now, is the homie, is the brother from another mother. He's been my friend since forever, honestly, since I was a really young kid. And he watched the whole podcast last time in its entirety. All appreciation to him and anybody that does that. Love you guys. Now, he is a fan of the Washington Redskins. I like the Washington Redskins as a team because one of my best friends is a Washington Redskins fan. And they've been kind of incompetent as of late. You know, they've really been. One thing I do like, though, is their hiring of Ron Rivera. Homie's on the team to make some changes. And I think he will. I think he will make some serious changes here. Ron Rivera is a solid head coach in this league. But on top of that, before filming this podcast here, welcome to the podcast, Sonnies. Before filming this podcast, I texted my friend Aramis, and I said, hey, do you have any information, any insider fan information on the Washington Redskins this year? What can you tell me? They're an up-and-coming team, it looks like, with Ron Rivera, with Dwayne Haskins, with Chase Young, with Montez Sweat. What can you tell me about them? What do you think they're going to look like this year? And one of the people that he brought up to me that I didn't even give a lot of thought to when I first was writing it down, Jack Del Rio. Let me see if I have a little bit of notes on Jack Del Rio. All right, so one thing that he brought up to me and that I looked up here. Now, the strength of the Washington Redskins is no doubt that defensive line. They have invested heavily in that defensive line, and they have some good players from the 2018 draft, I believe. Montez Sweat. No. I think it's 2019 draft. I should be correct on that one, because that was the year that the Jets held the 3rd pick, I believe, and we took big boy Babyface. I love that guy. What's his name? I'm wearing his jersey. Hold on. Let me look back. Quinnen Williams. We took Quinnen Williams. We took Quinnen Williams that year. And I remember this because we were looking at the prospects. Sorry for adjusting the mic there. It kind of went off the face. But we were adjusting the prospects that year. And I'm pretty sure in that draft, Montez Sweat was one of the prospects that we were looking at. At the end of the day, we chose Quinnen Williams, which I'm happy with. I'm fine with. Now, honestly, Quinnen, if we could get, you know what, I'm not even gonna talk about it. But what I was gonna say is that I really like. I think everybody likes Nick Bosa, but yeah, I still think Quinnen Williams can show out. If you watch this film, man, he was one of those players that just dominated the line, and that's why he earned that third round draft spot. And I think he's a great guy. I mean, based off what we can see, obviously, he seems like an awesome dude. The bless you, thank you moment was a great moment. Good person to have on the New York Jets squad with some great great ability to bring to that defensive line. On the other, and on the other hand, that year, I'm pretty sure it was that year we had Montez Sweat on the board as well. Montez Sweat is another defensive man. Isn't Montez? You know what's gonna be bugging me? Was he in that year? Was Montez Sweat in the draft class of 2019? Let me see. Nope, I did not write Montez Sweat. Draft class. I was right. 2019 draft class, Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat is a beast on that line. A beast on that line. And he can wreck house. Now, I didn't really get to see a lot of the film from last year, but they invested heavily in that line. On that line, we got cats like Montez Sweat and Ryan Kerrigan. And let me not even bring up the great and powerful Chase Young. Taken in the second overall pick, I believe. I'm pretty sure second overall. This year, in the 2020 NFL Draft, Chase Young was taken. Now, what a beautiful man Chase Young is. I was just talking about Montez Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan. What a beautiful man Chase Young is. And in my research, in my talks with the great Aramis, one thing that I found out is Jack Del Rio is bringing in the 4-3. Now, I think from my research, I found out that yes, I'm correct. I'm correct in thinking this. Before Jack Del Rio was thought to bring in this scheme, they were running the 3-4. Now, if you don't know what a 4-3 versus a 3-4 scheme means, it basically means in a 4-3, the guys up front, the defensive tackles, you're gonna have 4 up there at all times, pretty much, and then 3 people in the back. And those people, the 4 in the front, are going to include people like Montez Sweat, Ryan Kerrigan, and they're going to rotate Chase Young around there. And this 4-3 defensive scheme that big boy Jack Del Rio is going to bring to this league, to this Washington Redskins defense. He's gonna bring the house down on some of these offensive lines, man. Some of these offensive lines, and Kliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray are gonna have a little problem on their hands when they go and encounter these powerful men on the other side of that line. And I have no doubt about that. No doubt. But the thing that I had to bring up to Big Man Aramis when I was talking about this was, hey, what do you think about those corners that you have over there? And I'm gonna tell you, Aramis do not have a lot of faith in those corners. And if you look at those corners, they do not have a lot of big names. They did make an acquisition this year where they picked up. Let me see. They picked up Kendall Fuller. Solid. Doesn't jump off the page, but solid. A solid man in that backfield. Now, I bring this up because give me a second. We got to talk about the acquisitions by the Arizona Cardinals right now. The acquisitions by the Arizona Cardinals this offseason. If you don't know, they picked up one of the best in the game, big man D-Hop, DeAndre Hopkins. And let me not remind you, come on, I'm pacing right now. Let me not remind you who they already had on the field. We had Larry, the great, the powerful, living like Larry Fitzgerald out there catching balls already. Are you kidding me? And they had that to begin with, and then you see them put the pieces together and get themselves a DeAndre Hopkins. That's next level. That's some big man moves. And this is the type of offense, stout wide receiver room that teams like the Washington Redskins are going to have to go against. Now, one of the best attributes of a defensive line, a great defensive line, is that they can kind of cover up for a bad cornerback spot. Now, what we have to acknowledge here is that those are 2 of the top 10 best wide receivers in the league right across from each other on the same team. This is one of the reasons why I have a lot of faith in the Arizona Cardinals this year. Listen, man, it's one of them's gonna get double teamed. What's gonna happen then? The next guy's gonna have a one-on-one, and what's gonna happen then? That guy, whether it be DeAndre Hopkins or Larry Fitzgerald, is gonna have a great time with that matchup because they're gonna have the confidence and the legs, the hands, the moves to be able to beat that man on the other side. I truly believe that, and I think if you know football, you know that that's a scary matchup. You know that's a scary match. You don't even gotta know football because those are two stars. Those aren't even people that you had to look at film for. Those are people that you see in the highlight reels every year, and those are on the same team. Kyler Murray's throwing to them. I could definitely see them winning that game because on top of them not having good cornerbacks, the whole point of this section is to talk about the fact that the Washington Redskins are another team that are heading into this year with a brand new coaching staff. Brand new coaching staff that they're going to have to learn everything new. This, and that. And like I said, Dwayne Haskins doesn't jump off the board. So one of the things you really need to get right with this guy is he has to know the offense. He has to know what's going down. He has to know his players. And the Redskins, last I checked, they were bleeding at the wide receiver position. The Jets, they just been, first class FedEx shipping them wide receivers over to the Jets, man. Thank you, Washington Redskins. But, they don't have the stoutest team. And regardless of the defensive line, I don't know if they'll be able to attack that. Now, with all that being said, when I talk about having to adjust, I think it's no doubt that defense is way easier to adjust to a new scheme compared to the offense. The offense is a big rehearsal thing. That's all it is. On the offense, you rehearse constantly. Obviously, you do that on the defense. But a lot of the defense, too, is very reactive. It's line up on your man, let's go. It's a reactive thing. You have the plan to begin with, and you need to execute your job perfectly. On the offense, you have a little way more choreographing going on here. It's less reactive, proactive. You need to go out there and get that ball over there. So, it can be an interesting matchup if that defense is able to pull it together with big man Jack Del Rio. And maybe they can stand off. Maybe they can hold him off. And maybe Dwayne Haskins just jumps off the field. Jumps off the page, as I like to say, next year, in the second year of his quarterback career. But we don't know that. And as of right now, I think this is a win for the Arizona Cardinals. The Washington Redskins have to start up next season and show me something a little different. But they're coming. The Cardinals are coming in. They're coming in hot. They got the wide receivers to show you what's up. Kliff Kingsbury really adjusted his offense last year to stop. In the beginning he was doing what we all thought he would do. He was running some of them college plays. He was running a lot of the stuff unconventional in the NFL. But towards the end of the year, he really started to tighten up his game and hone in. And not only that, but did you see this guy's pad? I know you saw that in the draft. You saw this guy's pad, man. He's coming in this year with the confidence of the A1 pad. And everybody knows it. Everybody's seen Kliff Kingsbury's. That thing was beautiful, bro. Everybody's seen it. And he's coming in with the ultra confidence, man. He's going to tear up this league, and we're going to have to watch it. And I say that with, full respect to the Washington Redskins, man. But this, Kyler Murray, the unsung hero of the, is it unsung? Did he win Offensive Player of the Year? He might have. Unsung, you don't hear a lot about them, though, because they're the Arizona Cardinals. They're not a big media spot. But they quietly had a terrific season for a first-year head coach, rookie quarterback. It's the fairy tale over there. Kliff Kingsbury wanted this man since high school, and he finally gets him. And they really put together a great piece of work. They showed a great evolution throughout the year, and I think they're going to take this one. Now, moving on to the next team on that list. The next team with the new head coach coming into the year that's going to be going against this stout wide receiver room, this great, maybe not great yet, He got the potential. The guy with the potential, Kyler Murray. Next team that's going to have to come up against these guys, we're looking at the Carolina Panthers. I brought up the Panthers the last show. I brought up their new head coach hire, Matt Rule. What a great guy. What a great guy when it comes to football. This guy knows what he's talking about. He knows what to bring to an organization. Beautiful man Matt Rule is. Wish we picked him up. We didn't. You know. I think the best coach the Jets got in the door here is Greg Williams right now, but that's neither here nor there. Matt Rule is going up against the big boys, Larry, D Hop, and Kyler, and that offensive line that they picked up some upgrades last season, and they got something on their hands. But one thing I'd like to bring up here is they're way more well prepared with more veterans on their team in key positions compared to a team like the Washington Redskins. One of those positions being, like I said, one of the positions that can show out regardless of some of the performance on your team. Did you guys see Christian McCaffrey? I know you did. I know you saw Christian McCaffrey in these last few years, lighting it up, going for that MVP last season. He didn't get it, obviously. He did not get it. But at a couple points in those seasons, you had many cats, a lot of these cats talking out here, talking about, listen, man, maybe Christian McCaffrey needs to start talking about in the MVP conversation. And they had this man on that team, ready to bring the fire every game. And I truly believe that. I truly believe Christian McCaffrey can do that. Yeah, that's the white boy with the legs, baby. He's ready to bring it whenever you need him to. And he's one of those positions, like I said, the running back can show out regardless of some of the deficiencies on some parts of your team. Now, the other piece to their puzzle that they have here, first off, before I even go to the quarterback right now, I need to shed a tear. I'm shedding a tear right now. You can't see. The tear is shed. It's going down the face because I'm talking about Robbie Anderson right now. Robbie Anderson moved from the Jets over to the Panthers because he loves his head coach, Matt Rule. And he hates Adam Gase. Maybe. We don't know. It's just speculation. But, listen, he's over there. And if you don't know anything about Robbie Anderson, give me a second to tell you what this man is. You got these defenders, right? You got these defenders, and you got some ankles on the field that Robbie Anderson left there because he's not necessarily breaking ankles. Let me tell you that. He's not the greatest route runner. He developed a little bit last season. He's not going to really break ankles and whoop, whoop, whoop. And he's not going to do that. He's not going to really bring that one. But he could take the top off. He could take the top off out of nowhere. And he's done it forever. And if you don't even know, he went up against, I believe it was Alvin Kamara. He went up against Alvin Kamara last year in a little off-season bout here where they did like a race. And he beat him out. He beat him out like nothing because he's a fast man. That man is going to go right by you. That's the cheetah. That's the sun god, and he's coming for your eggs, bro. He's going to come snatch them right out from under your chickens, bro. And that's happening. That's happening today. It's happening tomorrow. It's going to happen as long as he's in the league, and he's got them legs. And now he's on that team, and he's ready to burst out. And hold on. Let me go back a little bit to that little race that he did. It was like a little competition race that they had where they had brackets and everything last season. And he beat out the first guy, which I believe was Alvin Kamara. And he would have probably won. Maybe. He's been showing out for the Jets every season he's been on there. Undrafted free agent. And he's been earning that money every game. Every game he's been beating these people over the top. You get at least you get a couple throws. Not a couple. You get a whole bunch of throws every season where you see that man over the top and Sam Darnold or Josh McCown, these quarterbacks that say, hey, I'm throwing it over there. Because that man is open like he is most of the time when you got a fly route. Now, not against Stephon Gilmore, but that's neither here nor there. In that bracket there, he had to quit out. And maybe he would have got some more recognition had he not. But he had to stop because he pulled something, I guess. And he didn't want to aggravate it further. He had the season coming up. And maybe, listen, man, I had my money on homeboy taking it home, taking the trophy home. And maybe we would have learned more about him. But if you don't know, that's who he is. He's going to take the top off of your defense, big guy. And, you're just going to have to look at it, man. You're going to have to look at it. Now, for the Carolina Panthers, let's look at the coordinators. There are other coordinators here. I got in my notes the big book of knowledge here. First off, we got Matt Rule, of course. Matt Rule, new head coach. This is what the whole segment is about. And he's here to try and turn it around. I don't know about in 1 year, but we'll see. Oh, we'll see. He's got a great. This is what I needed to bring up before. He's got a very, very competent quarterback. Somebody who went 3-4-0 when Drew Brees was out, and Teddy Bridgewater. I don't even know. Maybe it was even more than that. But last year, he showed you that if you give him a correct scheme, if you really give him the what he needs to succeed, he's gonna take you there. They got that guy Teddy Bridgewater at the helm. Now, on offense, they have Joe Brady for an offensive coordinator. Who is Joe Brady, you ask? Joe Brady is the man coming straight out of LSU from one of the historical seasons of college football with Joe Burrow, straight off of winning the top assistant college coach award in 2019. The Broyles Award is what the man won. Now, what I like to think about when I think about this award here is I go back to my talk about the college versus the NFL. In college, talent can really win out a lot of stuff here. And LSU, if they had anything, it was talent. Now, to win as many games as they did, you still need more than competence at your coaching positions. And one of those people that they had for their offense, their offensive coordinator, we had Joe Brady. Now, he's coming in, and he's going to look to bring that high-flying passing offense to the NFL. But what I don't like about it, in terms of this new head coach and stuff, college guy, Matt Rule, college guy. Who's their next guy? Top assistant. Oh, no. Defensive coordinator Phil Snow comes from Baylor with Matt Rule, college guy. And then special teams. Their special teams coordinator Chase Blackburn. 5 years in the league, 2 years with the Panthers. You'll notice that as a common theme. Even with the Redskins, they kept their special teams coordinator. He also had 2 seasons with the Redskins. So you'll notice that if the special teams coordinator is competent enough, they'll keep him around. But the rest of these guys, there's some new ducks on the block, man. They ain't never been to the NFL. They don't have that kind of experience. And you're trying to tell me that they're going to be prepared for this season? Now, they're obviously not just completely incompetent. They're coming off of they got some accolades, these guys, right? But like I said, the coronavirus is here to stay for a little bit, and they're not getting the proper time that they need to really get acclimated in this offense and this defense and whatever, talking to these players face-to-face every day. They're not having that opportunity, and that's the whole point of this segment. I don't think they'll be prepared. The Arizona Cardinals, they're going to have a little bit of a tough time with Christian McCaffrey. I'll be honest. And listen, like I said, Robbie Anderson is a weapon over the field. But we'll see. Ultimately, I think the Cardinals walk away with a win here. That's 2 wins out of the 4 teams that I see them coming. The 4 teams that are coming in with brand new stuff, brand new everything. Then I truly believe that, and I think them having all these college coordinators and the college head coach, it's gonna be a real learning curve for them. But they're not completely incompetent. They could prove me completely wrong. Like I said, they got some weapons, but they're not gonna be as prepared, especially as prepared as they would have been in a regular season. We're gonna see a lot of stuff here. Maybe we have the first few weeks of football where it's just off. It's just some off stuff because they really didn't have the time. Maybe we'll see that. I definitely think that these teams are going to get hurt. Moving on to the next team. An interesting team, to say the least, for next year. I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, new head coach, Mike McCarthy. Coming back from a small stint, not doing nothing. I mean, not this. He wasn't doing nothing. He was, according to Mike McCarthy, really watching film, reinvigorating his offensive scheme, seeing what he's got going on. So the Arizona Cardinals are going to be coming up against Mike McCarthy and these Dallas Cowboys, where, by the way, we don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. That's a little toss-up right here. Now, I believe Dak Prescott's going to come back. I really, truly believe that, but in all honesty, we don't know. We don't know for sure. Maybe, he's going to be holding off for a little bit longer. We don't know. Dallas Cowboys, though, one of the most interesting things about them, last year, they had the most prolific offense in the league. Under offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, who's back for another season with the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys had the top offense in total yards and yards per game at 6,904 yards overall offense and 431.5 yards per game. Beautiful numbers. Those numbers are glistening on this page right now, let me tell you. Those are some great numbers that he's bringing to the team, and he's coming back for another shot at the goal, this guy. And I think that will really help out these Dallas Cowboys here, because on top of all that, they picked up CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb made it to the Dallas Cowboys. Oof. Big oof for the rest of the people in the NFC East, because they already had the top offense in the league. And I think, Jason Garrett not being there and making those fourth down calls, that'll help him out. That might even win him like an extra game or two than if they had not done those weird calls last year. But another thing to bring up is the confidence that Dak Prescott has in Kellen Moore. One of the reasons why the Dallas Cowboys kept Kellen Moore is because of Dak Prescott. They want it to look as appealing as they can make it, Dak Prescott, so he comes back and shows out once again. Because I do believe Dak Prescott is a pretty damn good quarterback in this league, and he deserves a nice contract. How big? I don't know, man. They're clearly having troubles with that. But we'll see how that comes out. Anyway, Dak Prescott has high praise for Moore, calling him, and I quote, genius phenom. That man has a lot of confidence in him. We're going to see how he shows out this year, and they definitely have a little bit of an advantage compared to these other people with brand new head coaches because they're holding over that offensive coordinator. As for the defense, you got a Mike Nolan who's brand new to the team, but he's a veteran. He's been around. And then special teams, John Fassel, and he's new too. But it's special teams, and it's not nothing small, but it's not as big. They don't have as much time on the field as something else. But that's also why they're very important, because they only get so many shots a game. I think that's going to be a hard game. That's going to be a hard game for them to try to win, especially with Dak without homeboy Jason Garrett calling those plays. It's going to be a hard game. Or he didn't call all those plays last year, but I definitely feel like he had a play in those fourth downs. It's going to be a hard game. It's going to be very interesting to see. But I still think the Cardinals win that one. You could say I'm biased because I like me some Kyler Murray, but I still think they pull that one out. And you're still gonna have some weirdness coming on with the coronavirus not letting them get together as early as you might want to. But I also think that if this guy who's eating every play, Ezekiel Elliott, if he really comes back and bounces back from a kind of a disappointment year last year, he didn't make the type of numbers he was able to make. If he can really bounce back, that's a real thorn in their side. And, they can definitely get that win if they got all the facets of that offense really pulling their weight, especially with the new talent they added at wide receiver and the talent they already had at the wide receiver position. Moving on to the Giants. The Giants got a brand spanking new head coach, just like the rest of them, in Joe Judge. Joe Judge is he was a special teams coordinator for the Patriots, so we really don't know much about him at all. Maybe he even shows out, but we really don't know much about him. Moving on from that position, we got Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett. He's pulling up from the Dallas Cowboys over there to the Giants. Maybe without what's Homie's name? He's the owner. Jerry Jones. Maybe without Jerry Jones in his ear, he's gonna make way more better decisions. And he's got a lot of experience. Jason Garrett does, and he could bring that to the table with him for the Giants. And they have Daniel Jones, an up and coming guy. And I think Daniel Jones has a lot of potential in him. A lot of potential. He can't make all the throws, but he'll get it done. And he definitely has the respect of that locker room because he's put that team on his back a few times. Let's not forget. On top of the Jason Garrett, we got for defense Patrick Graham. Nothing that really strikes you. And he's also brand new to this team. For special teams, once again, they had him on for at least 2 seasons on the Giants. Now, this, on top of this also being a team that just recently got a quarterback, and a team that really, they picked up some upgrades for that line, but they still got some pieces to put together. And I think on top of not having some of these pieces and missing out on the extra time, that's what they picked that win up. The Arizona Cardinals picked that win up, and I think that's a wrap for those 4 teams. And the Cardinals are going to jump on the scene this year. I truly believe that. And it's coming. It's coming. You better pick up those Kyler Murray cards right now. It's on your way. The winning's on your way, Arizona. Be happy. They're coming. Claps. Let's all have a party at Kliff Kingsbury's pad. Moving on. That was a great segment. Let's move on to the next one. What we got going on now? Jason Whitlock. If you don't know who he is, he was on a show called Whitlock and Wiley and Speak for Yourself. And it was a show that I liked. It was a show that I liked a lot on Fox. They were basically, the way that I viewed them is they were like adults, like real adults saying some being very, what's the word? They knew what they were talking about, it seemed like, when they were up on there. And I really enjoyed their show. Jason Whitlock really put a lot of the show together for me. Way more than other people on the panel. And that's not to dismiss these people on the panel. I just think that Jason Whitlock put a lot on those shows. Now, why I bring him up is because Jason Whitlock is no longer with Fox News. Why is that? Well, it looks like contract.
I want to dedicate this song to my sister Abby. She drives nearly 2 hours to her hospital every day, and I'm just really proud to call her my sister.
Alright, well, an ad was just playing. I'll probably cut that out. Anyway, Jason Whitlock just wasn't able to get the contract done. He did not want to get it done, it looks like. Looks like they weren't giving him the right amount of money for the future that he wants for himself. Because it looks like Jason Whitlock is realizing his potential. Now, what am I doing with this podcast? I'm trying to take a hold of my own entertainment value that I believe that I have online. And that is what Jason Whitlock sees in his future. And I definitely think he can do it. Because it looks like Jason Whitlock's going to take his talents elsewhere, and maybe he's going to do something on his own. Jason Whitlock knows his worth. He knows the kind of respect he has in the league, the kind of eyes he can bring to his show, and he's gonna bring it. He's gonna transfer over. I do believe that because the future is the internet. And if that's the way that he goes, he could still go with another one of these companies if they give him a lot of money. They bring that dough. But Jason Whitlock, if he just moves on his own, great move, terrific move, and people like me, I will definitely be following where he goes. And I wanted to bring up the last tweet by Jason Whitlock, and just to show you the kind of person that he really is, and the kind of values that he stands on. Here we go. Jason Whitlock, God's design: one mouth, two ears, two eyes. We should all do 4 times as much listening and observing as talking. Don't be afraid to reflect, acquire knowledge, and listen to others with more wisdom. Social media compels us to speak even when we have a little of substance to say. That sounds like a man who knows what he's talking about, especially with that tweet anyway. He sounds like a mature guy who's seen some shit, and he's trying to put the pieces together and make a great life for himself. I even remember this one time where he was speaking about life lessons, and he brought up the fact that when he was younger, he used to think what he wanted was to relax, was time off, was to just sit on his ass and eat and eat and watch the movies you want to watch, do whatever you want to watch, have a fun time. And in this particular segment, he was saying that in reality you don't want that, and this is very true to anybody looking for some wise words. It's very true that that's not what you want. What really makes life worth it is responsibility. Is seeking out responsibility for you to really pour some yourself into, to have something to fight for. And this is just one of the many things, the many quotes from Jason Whitlock that I love to hear, and he's a man that I love to see I love to listen to what he's got to say. Saddened to see he's not going to be on Fox, but he's not stopping here. There's no way he's stopping here. I'm pretty sure he said as much. He's gonna come back with a vengeance, and if you do like Jason Whitlock and you want to see what he's going on, I'd say maybe just follow him on Twitter for now. I'm sure he'll have his announcements. It'll get through. And just check out those clips for Speak to Yourself or something. If you got the time, if you just look for some short entertainment, great clips. Jason Whitlock, former NFL player, and he's gonna whatever he does with his career from here on out, it's gonna mean something. It's gonna be some great entertainment. And it's along with that tweet there. Along with that tweet, I wanted to talk about something. Talk about something a little more serious that's happening in today's climate, today's world. Of course, we had the tragic death of George Floyd here. I love the videos I see of this man. He just seems like a good God fearing man. Granted, I'm not particularly God fearing. I'm not really have a lot a lot of faith in I don't really, I'm not like a church going man. I don't really pray. I'm not saying that God doesn't exist or anything like that. I don't know. I'm just young. I'm just figuring it out. But George Floyd, he was definitely a God-fearing man, and he wanted to share that. He loved sharing that, and he has just like little videos where you see a little bit of his character, seem like a fine man. And another thing that was beautiful to see recently was there's a video of his daughter, and his daughter saying, she's at the protest on top of his brother's shoulders, saying, "Daddy changed the world." It was great to see. It was just amazing to see with all the things going on right now. That was amazing, and but that's not really what I wanted to link to Jason Whitlock. It was just some feel good stuff, to bring out of this tragedy. What I wanted to talk about is this kind of mindset that you get on social media these days. And I think the perfect example. I don't really post a lot. I guess I'm gonna have to start that up soon, because obviously I'm trying to make something of myself on the internet. And if you want to be in the internet, you gotta have the social medias. You gotta have them all together. You gotta be linking to them. The engagement's gotta be there. All of that. I don't really post a lot right now. And the other day, today's Wednesday, and yesterday was Tuesday. And if you were alive and kicking on social media, you were just scrolling through swaths of just black photos of just blackness. That's all it was. Just a black screen is what people were posting, and it was funny to see, because a lot of these people that were posting this were people that were silent otherwise on the matter. Now, I haven't posted anything. The only thing I really posted was the video of George Floyd talking about gun violence. I thought that was a great video. But other than that, I haven't really posted anything. I just don't really post, and it just wasn't my thing. And I was definitely not gonna post was one of these black screens. First off, I didn't get it to begin with, because I don't understand really what you're trying to do there with these black screens. And then I noticed that a lot of people that didn't post anything to begin with about what's going on, they were posting this black screen. And on some of them, a lot of them actually, were posting hashtag Black Lives Matter on it. Now, what happened here, and I'm bringing this back to Jason Whitlock saying, because of his tweet about social media compels us to speak even when we have little of substance to say. And what better example is there than just all these people posting a black screen? You got nothing to say, man. And a lot of these people were people that were quiet on the matter to begin with. They literally have nothing to say, but they decided to follow in the pack and post this black screen. And let this be a lesson to a lot of these people, because what happened with this is it backfired. And the Black Lives Matter hashtag was filled with nothing, literally nothing. And what they were using it, what people were using it for was they were using it to get a lot of information out. You're not getting no information from a black screen, man. And it just happened. The black screen, just everybody's posting it everywhere. And I was observing it, just going, these people, they just saw it and posted it. That's all they did. That's what it looks like, as far as they took it in their head. And when I read this quote from Jason Whitlock on Twitter, where social media compels us when we have little substance, it was like, what a perfect example, man. Don't follow in the pack. It's, especially on social media. Social media is really detrimental to a lot of things going on, but it's detrimental because it brings out a lot of the bad in society, and that's just the fact of it. When you make likes a commodity, whatever, it's being very detrimental to society in a lot of different ways. And I saw this black screen thing going on, and I saw the backfire of it, where basically there was no information going around anymore, and a lot of people who would have never said anything to begin with and don't even have anything else on their page regarding to what's going on, they posted it anyway. And it was just, I just wanted to talk about it because it was just a great example of, don't just follow, man. Don't just follow what everybody else is doing. Because if you don't got anything to say, man, just don't say it. Just don't say it. Because you're not doing anything with your life there when you post a black screen like that. And in this particular case, it backfired. And reading Jason Whitlock's tweet, it made me think of that. And I just wanted to bring that up. And on this topic here, this little divisive topic, not when it comes to George Floyd, because obviously that was terrible, and everybody who sees the video, sees the evidence, can say that. It's not particularly divisive in that. But one of the divisive things in today's America is the kneeling by Colin Kaepernick. Now, I personally do not give a shit, because this is America, man. Nobody says you can't kneel during the anthem. I don't really give a shit. And it wasn't like they were doing it specifically to disrespect the veterans. Although I do see, that you're allowed to take it as you're disrespecting the veterans. You're 100% allowed to do that. It's just like you're allowed to take a kneel, because this is America. You're allowed to do what you want. You're allowed to say what you want, as long as nobody's in danger. And my particular view is they're protesting. They're protesting peacefully. And I was like, I don't care, because that's what they're doing. They're protesting. And that's just the way it is. And to the people that don't like it, they don't like it, and they're not allowed not to like it, because this is America. And if you want to say that they're able to protest, then you should also, on top of that, be able to say, hey, you're allowed to have whatever opinions you want. I disagree with you, but this is whatever. The only problem that I had with it was this, essential disagreement, where to me it was like clearly it's not really working because you're dividing rather than bringing people together. That was my only problem that I have with Colin Kaepernick's protest was, if you see that it's not working, why don't you change it up? Now, he did change it up because at first he was just sitting on the bench, and a Green Beret, I believe, actually reached out to him and said, hey, it would be more respectful if you knelt because you're just sitting down, It would be more respectful instead of just not doing anything if you knelt to the flag. And Colin Kaepernick obliged, and he started kneeling, and I had no problem with it. My only problem, like I said, was the fact that if you're trying to bring people together, it's counterintuitive to continue doing something that divides America. You're not really, it divided like I don't know, the people just don't see it the way that he saw it, and regardless, he can't control what they believe, but he can control what he's doing. So I have no problem with anybody kneeling. The way that I viewed it was I thought the goal was not to be divisive, and he ended up being divisive and decided not to change what he was doing to help bring people together on the message. And but I totally think that like if you like really hate him for doing that, I don't necessarily get it. But that can be your opinion. And for one person in the National Football League, if you haven't already seen, Drew Brees. Let me pull up the article right now. In an interview with Yahoo Sports, Drew Brees says, and I quote, let me find the quote here real quick. Let me find the quote. Let me see if I have it. I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. Let me just tell you what I see or what I feel when the national anthem is played and when I look at the flag of the United States. This is Drew Brees speaking right now. I envision my two grandfathers who fought for this country during World War II, one in the Army and one in the Marine Corps, both risking their lives to protect our country and to try to make our country and this world a better place. So every time I stand with my hand over my head, looking at the flag and singing the national anthem, that's what I think about. And in many cases, that brings me to tears. Thinking about all that has been sacrificed. Not just those in the military, but for that matter, those throughout the civil rights movement of the 60s and all that has been endured by so many people up until this point. And is everything right with our country? And is everything right with our country right now? No, it is not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand on your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can all do better and that we are all part of the solution. Reading that whole statement, like I said, I don't necessarily get the point of view where you really believe that they're disrespecting the flag. For me, it's one of the most American things you can do is do this peaceful kneeling stuff, and it's for a good cause to bring awareness. But this is his opinion, and like I said, I believe you should be able to have an opinion, but people are gonna have their opinions as well, and his teammates are speaking up. Even Michael Thomas is coming out and saying things about this particular event. Now, one thing that I'd like to bring up is not a lot of people are saying anything other than I will not agree with anybody disrespecting the flag or some kind of. It's very small quotes when you look at the coverage of this, and if you read the whole thing, you can get where I came from. Where I say that I had the only problem that I had with it was the fact that you're trying to bring people together with this sentiment, but you're really dividing it. And what Drew Brees says in this is, I wish we could all just stand because it would show unity together under the flag. And, that brings up my only grievance with what the movement had was, that you're still dividing. And I would think that the whole point of this cause is to bring people together for a common cause. But it's what you're doing is detrimental. Like I said, I don't believe it personally, but it's detrimental for what you're trying to get going on because you're actually dividing people because they don't see it the way that you see it. And I think that maybe it would have been a better move to bring people together and to kind of to adjust the protest in that way. Now, you don't have to do it because this is America, and that's what my sentiment on it is. If you want to kneel and protest, kneel. That's your God-given right under the United States flag. You know, that's what they fought for. You know, was my is my stance. Is that's what they fought for, is for you to be able to do something like that. But they're allowed to have their opinion that you're disrespecting the flag, especially somebody who has family in it. You know, even though we also have people with family in it who those people will actually say, hey, you know, I like what's going on. You're allowed to believe that they're disrespecting it, even though, you know, at the core of the issue, that's not what they're trying to do. Um, you know, I think that it's very American what they're doing, but you know, I think they're allowed to have that opinion, and like they're allowed to have that opinion, his teammates and the rest of the people around the NFL are allowed to have a particular reaction to it. Does this change my opinions on Drew Brees? Not really. Because, like I said, this is America and you can do what you want as long as you're not hurting people. And his problem, he's not out there saying, oh, I hate black people. He's saying, for me, I don't get it. And this is America, you're allowed to have that opinion. And that's where I stand on that issue. That's where I stand on the Drew Brees issue. And that's one of the pieces of news that's going around the NFL that kind of surrounds what's going on right now. And personally, I don't really understand why Drew Brees came out and said this, or maybe, you know, because you can't control what you're asked of, the questions that are asked of you. But it's what he said. You know, he could have his opinion. That's where I stand on the matter. And you can kneel in protest. That's where I stand on that matter. It's just interesting to see what's going on and to see that a lot of people are out up in arms because this is America and that's what's happening. Everybody's expressing their right, expressing their opinions. And I believe that anybody's allowed to have whatever opinion they have. And personally, my views aren't really changed on Drew Brees, because like I said, he's not going after the black community. He is standing for his own laurels there. He's saying that I wish we would stand. That's what he's saying. He believes it's disrespectful. That's just the divisive climate that we have right now. Is Drew Brees saying something like that is going to put a split in what's going on, and people kneeling is going to put a split in, you know, people like Drew Brees has had. But he's still going to light up the league, you know, and people are still going to have respect for him on the field. And I still have respect for Drew Brees. And I have respect for Drew Brees, first off, for saying that. Because obviously you're going to have backlash on that. But this is America. You can say whatever you want. Just like I can get on a podcast and I can have 2 episodes of quality content, I hope, and entertainment for the homeboys. That was another installment of the Josh OT podcast. If you listen to the whole thing, if you even listen to parts of it, thank you for your ear time. It's very appreciated. Thank you very much. I'd like to sign off now, and I'd like to say, you know, I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope their mental health is in check. And, you know, if you're not, I hope you're actively doing something to try and better yourself, to try and better the situation you're in mentally. And I wish nothing but the best for you and your family. And that's all I got to say. This was another installment in the Josh OT podcast. I hope the quality was a little better with the little muffle on top of the mic. Thank you for listening. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Peace out, son. Goodbye.